Hey folks, how we doing? It's Mr. Carter here, ready to help you with the Unit 1 math test review. So put your name on this and let's begin. All right, so we are asking here on the first page to write two different ways to expand and show 367,428. Write the answers in the blank. So I'm going to show you a little strategy to help you with this. So what you want to look at is see where they're asking you to split apart the numbers. So here they're asking you to split it at the thousands, the tens, and the ones. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put a line before that place value that they want to split it up at. So here's the example. So we have our 8 is in the ones, 2 is in the tens, and then the hundreds. And then right before we get to the thousands, all right, we're going to put a line here. That means we have 367 thousands. Now they want you to break up the tens. So again, here are the ones, and then here's the tens. So we're going to put a line before we hit the tens. So that's going to leave us with 42 tens. All right, and then of course we have 8 ones. Now 42 tens, of course, is 420, right? Okay, so now let's look at this one. So now they're asking you to split it up into the hundreds and ones. All right, so again, we have our ones place, our tens, and before we get to the hundreds, we're going to split it up. So here we have 3,674 hundreds. And then, of course, that leaves us with 28 ones. Okay. So now down here, they're giving you a different number. Same idea. They're asking you to expand and show the number 542,342. So here they're asking you to split it up into thousands and tens, and they already did the ones here. So again, here's our ones place, our tens, our hundreds. Before we get to the thousands, I'm going to put a line here. That gives us 542 thousands. Now they're asking us for the tens. So here are the ones, and again, before we get to the tens, put a line. So that gives us 34 tens. And then, of course, that leaves us with 2 ones. All right, so now we have our hundreds. They're asking us to split into hundreds and ones. So again, here's our ones, our tens. So before we get to the hundreds, we're going to put a line. So now we have 5,423 hundreds. And then that leaves us with 42 ones. All right, so that helps you with these types of problems, which you are going to see on your test. Okay, folks, let's look at number 1 on this next page here, page 100. It says, how does the value of the 3 in 34,560 compare to the value of the 3 in 345,600? All right, so to help me with that problem, I took out a place value chart, and I put these numbers on a place value chart, and I put the number 3 in pink and the rest in black, just to kind of show you the difference here. So here we have 34,560, and down here we have 345,600. So the 3 here, and this number is in the 10,000s place. That means it's worth, and I'm going to write this here, 30,000. Okay, and then here the 3 is in the 100,000s place. That means it's worth 300,000. Okay, so that's the difference. So like the 3 in the 300,000s place is 10 times larger than the 3 in the 10,000s place. And how do I know that? Well, if I go 30,000 times 10, and that's like an expanded fact, right? So I just take 30,000 and add a 0 to it, right? So here we go. We have 30,000, and then what I do is when we multiply by 10, we just kind of add a 0. Okay, so that makes it 300,000. So that's why 300,000 is 10 times larger than 30,000, and that's the value here. So what I've done is give it a sentence to help you kind of put this all together. So the value of the 3's are 30,000 in this number here, in the 34,000, and 300,000. So the 3 in the 100,000s place is 10 times the value of the 3 in the 10. The 3 in the 100,000s place is 10 times the value of the 3 in the 10,000s place. So that would be a good, solid answer there for question number 1. All right, so let's look here at number 2. So it says a recent survey reports that 713,298 people visited the local science museum last year. How can 713,298 be written in word form? So I'm going to look here and just go through my answers one at a time. So I'm looking at A, and it says 71,000. Well, that doesn't look to me like here 713,000. So I'm going to eliminate A. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm looking at B. 713,000, and look, there's a clue here, there's a comma. 713,000, comma. So far, so good. And then 298. 298. Well, there we go. We didn't need to go too far down our answers to see that B is our correct answer. So go ahead and just circle in the bubble here to let us know that you have chosen B as the answer. All right, number 3, we're just comparing numbers. I'll zoom in here a little bit. So we just got to look to see if it's greater than or less than. And you can see here how to answer this type of problem. If you think it's greater than, you're gonna circle in the bubble here on the left. If you think it's less than, you're gonna color in the bubble here on the right. So if I'm looking here, 2,634 and 2,643. So again, when we're comparing numbers, we look at the digits first. Look at the amount of digits. So both of these are 4-digit numbers. Okay, so that means they're both in the thousands, which means we need to start comparing them starting with the thousands. So we have 2,000s, 2,000s. So we need to now go to the hundreds. We have 600s, 600s. And so far they're the same value. Then we get to the tens. We have 3 tens, 4 tens here. So because it has less tens, this means that it's less than. So 2,634 is less than 2,643. So because it's less than, we are coloring in the bubble here on the right. All right, 62,800 and 62,799. So again, they're both 5-digit numbers. So then we've got to start comparing with the largest place value. So we've got 60,000 here, 60,000 there. 2,000, 2,000. When we get to the hundreds, we have 800, 700. So that means this one is greater than. Because it's greater than, I'm going to color in the bubble here on the left. All right, these are both 4-digit numbers, 7,314, 7,414. So then we've got to start comparing digits. We start with our largest, 7,000s, 7,000s, 300s, 400s. So that means it's less than. So we circle or color in the bubble here on the right. 14,924, 4,925. Well, right away, I see that this is a 5-digit number and this is a 4-digit number. So automatically, the 5-digit number is larger because it's in the 10,000s, and here we only have thousands. So that means it's greater than, which means we're going to color in the bubble here because it's greater than. We're going to color on the one on the left. All right, number 4. What is the sum of 7,447 and 1,027? And then record your answer on the grid and fill in the bubbles. Okay, so I set up my problem here. I put them vertically, making sure that my digits are all lined up, the ones under the ones, tens under the tens, and so on. And I'm going to start adding. 7 and 7. Is 14. Going to carry the 1. And I'm using the traditional algorithm for adding. Use whatever strategy works for you, but that's the one that I'm choosing to use today. 4 plus 1 plus 2. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7. 400s and 0 is 400s. 7 plus 1 is 8,000. Don't forget your comma. So how this works here is you got to put your numbers up on the top. So it's 8,474. So it's kind of easier to start with your ones and then work your way to the left. So I'm going to go 4 here, my ones, and then 7, 4, 8. There's your comma. And then what you do is you look for the digit down here to fill in the bubble. So see, since this one's 4, I'm going to find the digit 4, color that bubble in. 7, find the 7 here, color that bubble in. 4, find the 4, and then 8. All right, and there you go. There's your answer. All right, let's look at question 5. It's on your last page of your review packet. It's asking you to look at the place value chart below. So it's asking you here, how can you write the numbers shown in the place value chart? And it says choose all that apply. Now this is one of those questions, the choose all kind of questions. So that tells me, that's kind of a clue that there's most likely going to be more than one answer. So a lot of fourth graders like to just find one answer and then just go with that. But you want to just make sure that you go through every option to see if it makes sense, because there probably is more than one correct answer. So the number they're asking you to look at is 42,000. I'm going to just put a nice comma here. 42,304. So I'm just going to go through each option one at a time to see if it makes sense. So let's look at A. So here they have it in word form, 42,304. And again, if I'm looking up here, it's 42,304. So yeah, this one does work. So I'm going to color in bubble A. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to go through all my options to see if the other ones make sense as well. Okay, excuse me. So here we have it in expanded form. So we have 40,000. Well, so far that makes sense because we have 4 10,000s. Plus 2,000s. Again, so far so good. 300, again 3 in the hundreds place. Now here we have plus 40. So that would mean we have 4 10s. But if you look up here, we don't have any 10s. So this answer does not make sense. So I'm going to just cross it out, eliminate it. All right, let's look at C. So now here we have 420,304. So if I'm looking up here, it says 400,000. That would mean that we would have to have a 4 here in the 100,000s place. So again, this answer also doesn't make sense. So we're going to eliminate it. 42,304 in standard form, the exact same number as up here. So this one does work. So I'm going to just circle in bubble D here. And then the last one, again, they broke it down into expanded form. So we have 40,000. That makes 4 10,000s. Very good so far. 2,000s. Again, very good. 300s, or 304. Now, this also makes sense, right? Because we do have 300s. We don't have any 10s, so they didn't put it as 0 here, plus 4. So this does also work. All right, so we have 3 answers here. For number 5, we have A, D, and E. Okay. So number 6, they're asking you what's the difference, right? Your answer in the blank. So they're asking you to subtract these 2 numbers. They didn't give me enough room, so I'm going to pull out some graph paper. I like graph paper because it helps you keep your numbers lined up. So they're asking us to do 235,207, and they're asking us to take away, let's go back to here, 67,034. So since it's 67,000, I'm going to make sure that my 6 goes in the 10,000s place like this. And then it's 67,034. There are no hundreds, no tens, 3 10s, and 4 1s. Okay, so I'm going to put my line here. And I'm going to use the traditional algorithm to subtract, so I'm going to show you using that method. So we have 7 1s. If we take away 4 1s, that leaves us with 3. Now we have 0 10s, and we need to take away 3 10s. We can't do that, so we need to trade or regroup some 10s. So we're going to go take this 2, make it 100. We didn't have any 10s before, but we do have 10 10s now because we traded. 10 10s, take away 3 10s, leaves us with 7/10. 100, take away 0 hundredths, leaves us with 100. Okay, put our comma. Now we have 5 thousandths and we need to take 7 thousandths away. Again, we can't do that, so we need to go over to our 10 thousandths place. I'm going to make this 3 10 thousandths, 2 10 thousandths. And we already had 5 thousandths, so we're going to add 10 more thousandths to that and make it 15. 15 thousandths, take away 7 thousandths is 8 thousandths. 2 10 thousandths, take away 6. Can't do that. So again, we've got to go all the way over here. Make this 2 1. Now we're adding 10 thousandths. So we're going to make this 2 now 12 10 thousandths. Oopsie, sorry. 12, take away 6, leaves us with 6. And then 100,000, take away no 100,000s is 100,000. So our answer, boys and girls, is 168,173. Now I'm just going to transfer that over to our page here. 168,173. Okay, so for number 7, we're talking about a couple mountains here, and they're hard to pronounce, so I'm just going to do my best. So the Kangchenjunga is a mountain with a height of 28,169 feet. Laos is a mountain with a height of 27,940 feet. So here they're asking you, so there's two parts, there's part A and part B. So use a greater than, less than, or equal sign to compare the heights of the Kangchenjunga mountain and Laos mountain. Which mountain is higher? Show your work. So there's a couple ways to prove this, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways. One way is to just break it apart into expanded form. So I took 28,169 and I broke it apart. So 20,000 plus 8,000 plus 100 plus 60 plus 9. And I did the same here with the second mountain, which is 27,940. So 20,000 plus 7,000 plus 900 plus 40 plus 0. So now you can go through your expanded form and take a look at the values. So right, we had 20,000 and 20,000, so far they're equal. And then here in the thousands, we have 8,000 here and 7,000 here. So this means that this number is larger than this number. So I'm going to write that down here as a comparison statement because that's what they want you to do. They want you to write greater than or less than. So I'm going to say 28,169 is greater than 27,940. And I would, if I was a fourth grader, I would use this as proof, right? So that's where they're asking you to show your work. This is how you would show your work to show that this number is larger than this one. Another way to do it is to just look at a place value chart. So I put the numbers on a place value chart here, and you can compare them that way. So again, we have 28,169, 27,940. So again, 2 in the 10,000s, 2 in the 10,000s. So then here we have 8 in the thousands place and 7 in the thousands place. So again, this number is larger than that number. Okay, so that's just another way to kind of prove it on a place value chart. All right. Lastly, part B. Let me zoom in here. They were asking you to round to the nearest thousand. How tall is each mountain? So again, I just put K to represent the Kangchenjunga and L for the Laos mountain. So I'm going to round this to the nearest thousand. Both numbers actually to the nearest thousand. So if we're rounding to the nearest thousand, I'm going to put what I call my stop sign here on the thousands place. So I'm going to put an equal sign here. I'm going to rewrite the 2, and then I'm going to stop at the 8 because we're rounding to the nearest thousand. This 1 here in the hundreds place is our boss, right? This is what tells us what to do. So are we going to give it, the 2 things the boss tells us to do is to 5 and above, give it a shove, 4 and below, let it go. Since the 1 is 4 and below, we're going to let that 8 go. We're going to leave the 8 alone. So we're just going to put an 8 here. And then everything after the stop sign becomes a 0. So I'm going to rewrite like comma. That 1 becomes a 0. 6 becomes a 0. And the 9 becomes a 0. So when we're rounding 28,169 to the nearest 1,000, it's 28,000. All right, let's look at this number. So again, I'm still going to use the stop sign method, or the boss method, whatever whatever you choose to call it. Since we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, our stop sign goes under the 7. So you rewrite the 2, then you stop. We've got to decide what to do with that 7. The 9 is our boss. So since the 9 is 5 and above, we need to shove this 7 up a digit. So we're going to make this 7 an 8. All right, then again, everything after the stop sign becomes a 0. So we're going to rewrite the comma. That 9 is a 0, 4 is a 0, and the 0 stays a 0. So actually, boys and girls, when we're rounding both of these numbers to the nearest 1,000, they're both 28,000. So that's what you would write here in your answer. 28,000 for the Kangchenjunga mountain, and 28,000 here for the Laos mountain. All right, friends, hope this was helpful, and good luck on your test. Take care.